The Forsaken Heir. Previous episodes are available on the playlist. You can also visit our website for your favorite stories. A link is provided in the video description. Episode 21. When Orville listened to Charlie's instructions, his expression stunned. He immediately picked up the dagger, and said to his followers, "Come on, hold his head for me." Lu Ming was frightened, struggling desperately, shaking his head desperately. He was unwilling to let people engrave the word "poor" hang on his forehead, these two words, but he said every day when he spoke to others and scolded others. In the past few years, Lu Ming's family has made some money, and his life has become more and more nourishing, so his whole person has become more and more ecstatic. When he goes out and see garbage pickers, he will call them poor. When he goes to the street and sees that one's car is not as good as his, he will also call them poor. Some time ago, a high school student wearing meters banwi accidentally rubbed milk tea on his jacket. He directly beat the other party into a concussion. When the other party's parents arrived, he also scolded the other party, "A poor family hanging, selling your whole family is worth nothing for me." After speaking, he left without paying any money for medical expenses. Last night, he went out to catch a meal and saw a traffic jam on the road. He drove his Maserati retrogradely on the sidewalk, forcing the cyclist to carry the car to the side of the road to give him the way. As a result, an old master acted slightly slower. At one point, when he got out of the car, he kicked the old master into the green belt on the side of the road, and then spit on the opponent's face, and cursed, "Stupid, dare to stand in my way? This time it is just kicked. Next time I will kill you, old thing." After that, he just drove away. Even just now, he didn't have the quality himself, robbed someone else's parking space, and ended up rubbing the car. Instead, he criticized Elsa and Charlie for being poor when he spoke. The degree of arrogance is evident. If he is now engraved with the word "poor" hang on his forehead, it is really the best punishment for his life, his character, and his actions. Seeing this kid struggling back and forth, he refused to let himself engrave, and immediately gritted his teeth and cursed, "If you cooperate honestly, I will engrave 2 characters on your forehead, but if you fight with me here, I'm sorry. I will not only engrave the word "poor" hang on your forehead, but I will also engrave the word on your cheeks on the left and right sides." After finishing speaking, Orville felt puzzled, and said, "Right. Don't you just think that your dad has made too much money in the past 2 years, and it is not you who floated? Then I will let your dad be arrested. Engraved 4 characters on his face. Then tell him that all this is thanks to you." Lu Ming was really frightened. Although he has a bit of money, it is impossible to really fight against Orville. The underworld brother Mr. Orville can chop his family into the meat with one knife. Moreover, above Orville, there is also the Song family. Who doesn't know that Orville is a dog of the Song family on the road? However, even if he is just a dog in the Song family, he is definitely not something others can afford. If he really engraved the word "poor" hang on his face, how would he see people in the future? If he really engraved the words "poor father" on his father's face, how would his father see people in the future? When the time comes, Dad will be angry and strip him alive. So he could only cry while begging, "Uncle, please be merciful, can you make it smaller? Go off." Orville slapped his face directly, and cursed, "Dare to bargain with me." Lu Ming was in tears and was extremely afraid of feeling wronged in his heart, but he dared not say anything to Mr. Orville. Mr. Orville asked people to grab his head tightly, preparing to use a dagger to engrave a poor character on it. Charlie took out his phone and turned on the video recording. Although Lu Ming begged him to engrave a bit smaller, how could he dare to neglect Charlie? So go as big and deep as possible. This word occupies half of the forehead. Moreover, Mr. Orville, an old thing, is too ugly writer. His poor character is not as good as a primary school student. Mr. Orville returned to find a supplement for himself. He smiled, looking at Mr. Wade. "I am not used to lettering with a knife, it's ugly." Charlie snorted and asked, "You tell the truth, how many years have you read?" Mr. Orville laughed and said, "I have been studying for several years. I graduated from elementary school anyway, but it's true that I didn't study hard in 6 years of elementary school." Charlie nodded and said, "All right, if you engraved him too well, it would be cheaper for him." When Lu Ming heard this, he cried out of breath. The pain on the forehead is no longer important at all. The important thing is, doesn't this mean that he's disfigured? Mr. Orville looked at the other party's bloody forehead, took out a wrinkled pile of toilet paper from his pocket, sucked the blood-sucking water, and said, "Come on, the other side now." Immediately afterward, Mr. Orville began to carve another character. He also engraved this character very big, one on each side is really eye-catching. After the engraving, he looked around for himself, nodded in satisfaction, and then asked Charlie, "Mr. Wade, do you think my craft is okay?" Charlie stopped the video recording, nodded, and said, "Seems pretty good." Orville just smiled and asked, "Mr. Wade, how to deal with this plastic face?" Charlie said calmly, "You will observe at these two people from now on. If Lu Ming dared to remove his scars and grow long hair to cover his forehead, he would be killed directly by me, and if she had this plastic face, if she dared to go fix her crooked nose and disfigure her entire face. Besides, if she still dares to play YouTube, break her leg." The bodies of the two kneeling on the ground were suddenly startled. When Lu Ming was thinking about going back, he hurried to find a plastic surgery hospital to remove the scars, and then grow his hair a little longer and covered his forehead with bangs. This should have a little effect. But what Charlie meant was to let all the people see what was on his forehead with two big characters in the future. And that plastic face was thinking about it, and when he went back, she will quickly find a mobile phone to log into YouTube, deleted the video that Orville sent just now, and then go to the plastic surgery hospital to get her nose back. But Charlie directly and expressly forbids her to trim her nose, and even refused to let her use YouTube. How can she become an internet celebrity in the future? How to lie to those poor fans? How to hook up the rich second generation? The two of them cried and begged for mercy, hoping that Charlie could open up their future and not to kill them all. Charlie was completely unmoved. He said to Orville, "You remember what I told you? If something goes wrong, I will ask you only." Orville immediately stood up straight and said seriously, "Mr. Wade, don't worry, I will observe these two in the future." After that, he gritted his teeth and looked at the two of them, and said coldly, "You two bird people will remember me. You will check in with me every other week from now on. Let me check in person, and I will go to the chase one day later. At that time, the entire Oris Hill, and even the entire Nangguang people will hunt you down. If you escape from the province, I will send my little brother across the province to hunt you down. Until I hacked you to death I won't stop, do you understand? At this moment, Lu Ming and facial plastic surgery are completely desperate for their future life. Seeing that their punishment was more relieved, Charlie said to Mr. Orville, I look at these two people as a headache, so I hurried to get away. Mr. Orville nodded, kicked Lu Ming, and cursed, don't you hurry up. Lu Ming got up, ignored the dirt on his body, and hurriedly prepared to escape with the plastic face. Mr. Orville gave him a violent kick, kicked him all the way, fell a dog to gnaw, and then shouted, listen you two. After a week, come to my classic mansion to report to me. Let me check, if you don't come, just wait to be hacked to death. Lord, don't worry, we must be there, the two hurriedly agreed, and then they continued to flee in a panic, and they quickly fled without a trace. Mr. Orville came to Charlie's side with a stern face and asked flatly, Mr. Wade, are you satisfied? Charlie turned to look at Claire and Elsa. Seeing that they had a strange expression, he asked, Wife, Elsa, are you satisfied? Only then did Claire vaguely said, Charlie, is it not a bit cruel to treat both of them like this? Orville hurriedly said, Mrs. Wade, you don't know anything. This Lu Ming is a brutal. He loves to bully the poor all the time. I don't know how many poor people are bullied. The most annoying thing is that this grandson last year, in winter, drinking too much and in a bad mood saw a homeless tramp who went straight up and killed him. The bad things he did are really exhausted. Claire exclaimed, is this person really so bad? Orville nodded and said, this grandson likes to bully the poor the most. The poorer he is, the more he will bully to death. Elsa on the side said, then he really deserves it. What kind of ability to bully the poor? What? Orville hurriedly said, Miss Elsa, you are so right. For a person like this, Mr. Wade is doing this for the heavens. Charlie said indifferently, okay, don't linger here, you should be busy, my wife and I are going to the hot spring. Orville hurriedly pointed to the hot spring hotel manager who was shocked a long time ago, and asked, Mr. Charlie, what should I do with this person? Can't just let him go? Do you want to engrave him too? Charlie said lightly, a dogleg, let him leave his job immediately, get him out of Oris Hill, and don't let him show up in Oris Hill in the future, otherwise let the brothers on the road see once and chop once. The manager Zhang has not dared to speak. Hearing this, he hurriedly called out, Orville, don't mess around, our champ's Ella Spa Hotel, but Shangri-La's property, Shangri-La's Isaac, you should know? If you move me, Mr. Isaac will not let you go. Manager Zhang thinks that Orville is awesome, and the Song family is behind him, but his manager Isaac is also very good. He is the spokesperson of the Wade family, and the Wade family behind it is much better than the Song family. Mr. Orville sneered and said, okay, you can call Mr. Isaac to see if he can protect you. Call him. Manager Zhang let out a sigh of relief, took out the phone, and dialed Isaac. Soon, the call was connected. Manager Zhang hurriedly said, Mr. Isaac, Orville is making trouble here. He carved the words "poor hang" on Lu Ming's forehead with a knife and beat Lu Ming's girlfriend's nose crooked. He wants me out of Oris Hill and wants to block me, you have to save me. Isak asked in surprise, what's the matter? Give Mr. Orville the phone and I will tell him. Manager Zhang quickly handed the phone to Mr. Orville and said, Mr. Orville, Mr. Isak is looking for you. Orville picked up the phone, and Isak reprimanded on the phone, Mr. Orville, what's the matter with you? Do you dare to make trouble on my ground? Do you want to hit me? Are you a bit too arrogant? Mr. Orville said seriously, Ms. Isak, it was not I who made trouble, but Lu Ming, who offended Mr. Wade, and your manager Zhang also helped Lu Ming teach Mr. Wade. What do you think? Isak blurted out and asked, Mr. Wade? Is it Mr. Wade? Of course, besides him, who else is Mr. Wade? Mr. Orville smiled. Isak was shocked. Unexpectedly, a dog under his hands bit his owner. This is just asking for death. So, he immediately followed by Dieter, Mr. Orville, you turn on the hands-free. Orville immediately turned on the speaker and heard Isak's angry roar, Zhang, you don't have so long eyes and offend Mr. Wade? Have you lived enough? As soon as Zhang heard this, his legs trembled with fright. Mr. Wade, I don't know this is Mr. Wade, Isak scolded, you do it yourself this time, don't blame me for not showing you mercy. After speaking, he said again, Mr. Orville, what does Mr. Wade mean? Orville said, Mr. Wade meant to dismiss this kid, then drive out of Oris Hill, and see him cut once when he comes back. Isak said immediately, okay. Could you do me a favor? Orville hurriedly said, Isak, please speak. Isak said coldly, beat him to half-death first. Okay. Orville agreed with a smile and then hung up. Zhang was already sitting on the ground with fright. Who is that young man? Why even President Isak respects him so much? He couldn't help but knelt and climbed in front of Charlie, kowtowing his head and begging for mercy, Mr. Wade, please let me go. I have lived in Oris Hill since I was a child. My parents, relatives, and friends are in Oris Hill. If I can't come back for a lifetime, why am I still alive? Charlie said coldly, as the manager of Champs-Élysées, I believe that Isak should not give you less money. Your salary plus bonus for a year is at least 1 or 2 million or more. This in itself is enough for you to live a good life in Oris Hill. Become a high-paid family man, but you just want to be a shit for someone like Lu Ming, and you also bring Champs-Élysées security guards to help Lu Ming beat other guests. With this end, you deserve it. After speaking, Charlie asked again, do you know that, including you and these security guards, all the employees hired by Champs-Élysées? Champs-Élysées hired you with money so that you can help everyone. As for customer service, you should treat every customer fairly. Why are you responsive to Lu Ming? You even helped him beat others. Is this a job duty given to you by Champs-Élysées? Zhang cried and said, Mr. Wade, to tell you, I think that Lu Ming has a little background, and I want to make friends with him more, so I deliberately please. I was also confused for a while, Charlie sneered, adults must pay for their own confusion. After all, he looked at Orville and angrily said, Mr. Orville, don't do it yet, what are you waiting for? When Orville saw that Charlie was a little angry, he hurriedly waved to his opponent and said coldly, "Hit me hard." A group of strong guys immediately surrounded Zhang, punched and kicked, until he was dying of breath, which was regarded as a stop. Zhang lay on the ground and yelled, "Even worse still to come." Mr. Orville said coldly, "I'll give you half a day to leave Oris Hill. If I see you tomorrow after daybreak, I will kill you." The dying Zhang choked weakly, "Fifth Lord, can you give me 2 days of grace and let me heal the injury before leaving? Go to the field for treatment." Orville said coldly, "Call your family and directly hire an ambulance to take you away. Just stay away from Oris Hill. If you die in another place, don't let your ashes brought back to Oris Hill for burial, otherwise I will take you out of the grave, and lifted your ashes." Zhang was frightened as if he had gone mad, convulsing on the ground for a long time. "This is so cruel. Hurry up and kill. People are not allowed to come back, and the ashes are not allowed to come back even." At this moment, Zhang really wanted to die. But there is no way, he himself knows that he is to blame. Isaac allowed him to be in charge of the Champs-Élysées hot springs so that he would serve the customers well. It was good for him. In order to favor individual customers, he took the Champs-Élysées security to try to beat other customers. This is serious negligence in itself. What's more, he also provoked a distinguished guest who even Isaac was very respectful. It would be considered kindness if he didn't want his life. So he could only tremble and took out his cell phone, crying and calling his family, asking them to find an ambulance and send him to the next city for treatment. Once Zhang was settled, Orville looked at Charlie in kindness and smiled, "Mr. Charlie, do you want me to accompany you in to check in?" Charlie shook his head and said, "Forget it, you can handle it here, I can go inside by myself." Orville nodded quickly and said, "Then I would leave. If there is anything wrong with Mr. Charlie, please call me at any time." Charlie nodded, then looked at Claire and Elsa, and said, "Let's go." Only then did Elsa come back to her senses, looking at Charlie's eyes, full of unconcealed love and admiration. This man is like this, every gesture can give people an infinite sense of security. As long as he is by her side, she is particularly at ease in her heart, even if the sky is falling, she won't be afraid. Champs-Élysées Spa is a Japanese-style private hot spring. The customer has a private suite. Behind the suite is a courtyard covering an area of 100 square meters, and the private hot spring is located in this courtyard. The water in the hot spring pool is drawn from the eyes of the underground hot spring and flows continuously into the hot spring pool 24 hours a day, keeping the temperature very suitable. Isaac knew that Charlie was here, and hurriedly arranged for the hotel people to upgrade their room to the best set of top-notch suites. There are 2 super large and luxurious bedrooms. Even the hot springs are much larger than other places. The scenery is much more beautiful. After entering the room, Claire and Elsa looked at the surroundings and immediately became happy. Elsa hurriedly urged Claire and said, "Claire, change your swimsuit quickly. Let's go to the hot spring to relieve our fatigue." Claire was also very happy, and immediately nodded and agreed. Charlie originally thought about having a chance to see the beauty of his wife changing her swimsuit, but he didn't expect that the two went to the same room. Seeing this scene, he naturally knew that 2 beautiful women could only appreciate each other, and his hopes were lost. So Charlie went to another room and changed into the shorts he brought over. Since Charlie changed shorts relatively quickly, when he came out, the two girls hadn't come out yet. So Charlie walked to the yard first and slowly entered the huge hot spring pool. Charlie couldn't help but let out a long sigh of relief as the warm water gradually spread over his body. After a while, footsteps sounded. Claire and the two changed their clothes and walked into the yard. Charlie turned his head to look, and his eyes lit up. The swimsuit Claire wore was conservative, nevertheless, it outlined her perfect figure, slender legs, and fair skin, all of which made Charlie's heart hot. And Elsa next to her was even bolder. Although Elaine stopped Claire from letting her wear a bikini, Elsa really wore a pink bikini. This bikini only covers the important parts and shows most of the other parts in the air, which makes the figure unparalleled. She is not inferior to Claire's body, and her appearance is equally beautiful because her dress is bolder and more irritating, but she overwhelms Claire. Seeing Charlie's somewhat surprised and stunning gaze, Elsa smiled charmingly, and then quietly threw a loving look at him, which looked bold and shy. Seeing this as gentle as water, and with a somewhat fiery look in his eyes, Charlie felt a little throbbing unconsciously. But he could only pretend that he didn't know, and quickly withdrew his gaze, fearing that he couldn't restrain himself and reappeared in the water, and secondly he was afraid that Claire would see the clues. The two women twisted their waists naturally and walked over like a pair of models. In Charlie's eyes, it was a wonderful underwear show. Afterwards, the two reached the side of the hot spring pool, stepped on their long white legs, and plunged into the water one after another. It was also the first time for Claire to wear a swimsuit in front of her husband, so she was a little bit shy, so she took Elsa, sitting 2 or 3 meters away from Charlie, whispering, and chatting about some topics between girlfriends. But Elsa's thoughts were clearly on Charlie. While chatting with Claire one by one, she secretly glanced at Charlie with her eyes from time to time. In order to prevent being seen by his wife, Charlie could only turn his back, and then closed his eyes and rested in the hot spring. The two women chatted for a while because the hot springs made their bodies too relaxed, so they both felt a little sleepy. Claire has been very tired recently. Not only is there a lot of things happening recently, but the company is newly opened, and she has been busy tossing, and she is already exhausted. At this time, she was surrounded by the warm spring water, and she felt unprecedented tiredness. After a while, she became sleepy. So, 10 minutes later, she was by the hot spring pool, leaning against the hot spring pool with a towel, and fell asleep slowly. And Charlie was closing his eyes to rest up his mind at this time, and suddenly he felt the water surging around him. When he opened his eyes, he saw Elsa's white and tender body, who had already swum to his side. Just as Charlie was about to speak, Elsa stretched out a finger and put it directly in front of his lips, and whispered, "She fell asleep, don't wake her up." Charlie glanced at Claire and made sure she was really asleep. Then he breathed a sigh of relief and whispered, "We shouldn't be so close, especially in the face of Claire. Claire is already asleep." Elsa smiled, and said emotionally, "I just want to thank you for what happened just now, you saved me again." Facing Elsa's confession, Charlie said with a calm face, "It just happened to meet a few bully, just clean up, don't take it to heart." Elsa said seriously, then I would like to thank you very much. After all, Elsa sat down next to Charlie, and when she stretched out her hand, she hugged Charlie's arm in her arms. The two of them wore very little. Charlie's arm instantly felt the smooth and tender skin touch. Charlie squeezed and said quickly, "Elsa, don't do this, you will be seen by Claire." Elsa smiled and said, "That means I can't see it at first, so I can do it." "I didn't mean that," Charlie said helplessly. Elsa hugged a little tighter and said, "I want to hug." "It's best to let Claire see it, and then you two divorce so that you can be with me." Charlie asked with a righteous look, "How can you do this? You are Claire's good girlfriend." Elsa also said seriously, "I know that you and Claire were not married because of love, but because her grandfather insisted on doing his own way, so she was willing to marry you, and I also know that you two have no substance until now. There's no such thing as a husband and wife." Speaking of this, Elsa couldn't help but said emotionally, "Since you don't have any marriage at all, why do you hang around each other? Hurry up and get divorced, and then you can find your true love. Isn't it good? Everyone will not delay anyone." Charlie waved his hand, "You don't understand my feelings for Claire." Elsa asked, "Then my feelings for you, do you understand?" Charlie nodded and said seriously, "I understand, but I can't promise you anything, sorry." "Why?" Elsa said aggrievedly, "Why would you rather want a marriage without any facts than let go of this false marriage and pursue true love?" Charlie whispered, "I made it clear to you last time. We are not suitable. Even if I divorced Claire, we may not be able to get together. What's more, I won't be with Claire at all. Divorce, it's totally meaningless for you to waste time on me." Elsa snorted softly, "I am willing to waste time, I just love you." Charlie said helplessly, "You are purely stupid. Instead of wasting time on me, it is better to find a single man who is not married and has no girlfriend to have a serious relationship." Elsa's big eyes were suddenly covered with a layer of mist, and her mouth was pouting, and she choked up, "Charlie, my whole heart is on you. Since you saved me for the first time, I have fallen in love with you. After so many things in the middle to now, I am hopelessly in love with you." As she said, there were two red clouds on her face, and she said seriously, "I dreamed of you last night, dreaming about me." Charlie asked in surprise, "What did you dream about me?" Elsa said, "I dreamed that you and I went back to my house, we got married, and then what?" Charlie asked. Elsa blushed and said like a mosquito hum, "Then I gave you a big fat boy." Charlie curled his lips and said, "Dreams are all opposite." Elsa said immediately, "That's fine to have a beautiful daughter, I like it too." Seeing Elsa's serious look, Charlie really had a headache. Charlie had to emphasize again, "Elsa, we really can't, you don't understand me." Elsa's eyes were a little dim, and she said, "If you don't understand, you can slowly understand. It doesn't matter if you don't divorce Claire. I can love you secretly, even if I secretly love you for a lifetime, I am willing to." Charlie was a little speechless for a while. What did Elsa mean in her words? Even she was willing to be an underground lover for him? But how could he agree to such a thing? First of all, he was sincere towards Claire. She was arranged to marry him by her grandfather. Even though she was so dissatisfied, she finally agreed, and even the whole family laughed at her and ridiculed her. Old Wilson, of course, he never looked down upon him. Moreover, after Aunt Lena of the Welfare Institute became ill, she has been living frugally under Elaine's nose, lending money to him, and even paid Aunt Lena's medical expenses. Charlie will never forget this kindness. So, how could he agree to let Elsa be his lover? At this moment, Claire, who was asleep, suddenly moved. Charlie was shocked, and quickly took his arm out of Elsa's arms. And Elsa glanced at Claire and saw that she was not awake. She immediately pressed her face to Charlie's mouth at this moment and kissed him gently with her lips. The touch is delicate, and it breaks with one touch. Charlie hadn't recovered yet. Elsa had already blushed and swam away. But Charlie saw that Claire was about to wake up, so he couldn't say anything. Claire stretched out at this time, opened her eyes, and sighed, "Oh, it's really comfortable to take a bath in the hot spring. I was feeling tired during this period of time, it relieved most of it all at once." After speaking, she saw Elsa's face flushed. She asked in surprise, "Elsa, the hot spring water is not hot, why is your face so red?" Elsa rubbed her face embarrassedly and then said with a smile, "The hot spring water is not hot. The key is that there is such a beautiful big beauty lying next to me. It makes me feel hot when I see you." While speaking, she stretched out her hand to scratch Claire. Claire hurriedly avoided. Elsa hurriedly squirted water on her body. Claire also hurriedly held water to fight back, and the two women quarreled. Elsa's figure is more plump, and Charlie is a little dizzy with such a large movement, and Claire on the side is not much inferior to her, and it is also beautiful scenery. Charlie felt a rush of heat in his body. In order to calm his mind, he plunged into the water and stopped looking at the two women. Seeing this, Elsa deliberately teased, "Hey, Charlie, why are you still dipping your head in the water? Are you not afraid of choking water?" Charlie vomited a bunch of bubbles in the water, raised his head, and said, I'm done soaking, you two get busy, I'll get you some drinks." Claire hurriedly said, "It happens that I am thirsty, Charlie, please help me get a bottle of ice cola." Charlie nodded, "Okay." Elsa said hurriedly, "Then I want iced Sprite." "Okay." Charlie agreed, got up hurriedly, and escaped from the hot spring pool. There are two big beauties around him, one is his wife, the other is his lover, and they are dressed in such a cool dress. If they stay here, they are afraid that they will really be unable to control them. Claire still had no intention of marrying him. Although Elsa has 10,000 loves for herself, since she is already the husband of men, of course, she can't do anything to her. Therefore, to Charlie, these two women are both types that can see and cannot eat. This type is seen too much, not only hurts the body but also sad. When Charlie and his wife and Elsa were bathing in the hot springs, Lu Ming, who was engraved with the words "poor hang" on his forehead, and his girlfriend with a crooked nose, were sitting in a dilapidated van and bumped back to Oris Hill. In the city. Sitting in the car, Lu Ming kept covering his bloody forehead for fear of being seen by the van driver. He stopped the van on the way out of the Champs-Élysées. The two sides negotiated the fare to home at a price of 200, so now he just wants to get home as soon as possible, and doesn't want to have trouble. However, the driver saw the blood on Lu Ming's forehead in the rear-view mirror. He observed for a long time and couldn't help but ask in surprise, "Young man, are you hurt?" Lu Ming said irritably, "It has nothing to do with you, drive your car well and stop the nonsense." The driver was a little unhappy, and said, "Don't you care about it? Besides, your forehead is always bleeding. Don't stain the interior seats in my car." As soon as Lu Ming heard this, he exploded and he blurted out, "Poor hanging, you rubbish thing, the new car is worth 40,000 to 50,000, and you are afraid that I will get your car dirty. What a..." Poor hanging has long become Lu Ming's mantra. Even if the word poor hanging has been engraved on his forehead, he will not be able to correct his own problems for a while. This is why the ancestors said that the country is easy to change and nature is hard to move. The driver didn't expect this guy to scold him, and immediately became angry, and he blurted out, "You guys are too uneducated, right? How can you get dirty?" Lu Ming was annoyed to death. Seeing that he was reluctant, he blurted out, "Grass, you are endlessly poor? Then is forced to talk with me, believe it or not, I call someone to kill you. Poor like you, no one can control me when I beat you to death." The van driver was also very angry at this time. At this time, he drove through an intersection in the city center. Seeing a traffic police car was leaning on the corner of the intersection on duty, he drove the car directly to the traffic police and stopped, and then immediately pushed the door down. "Car, comrade traffic police, a customer in my car threatened to kill me. I suspect that he has weapons on his body, which has seriously threatened my personal safety." Upon hearing this, several traffic police immediately got out of the car, surrounded the van, and then opened the door, shouting to Lu Ming sitting inside and the plastic face, "Hold your head with your hands and get out of the car." Lu Ming realized that he was in trouble. This is a downtown area. Let himself hold his head in his hands and get out of the car. Isn't it impossible to cover the words "poor hanging" on your forehead? So, he made up his mind, not going to live or die. Afterwards, he blurted out to the traffic policeman and said, "What are you doing? I just took a taxi, but did I bother you? Hurry up and ask the driver to come back and drive me home, otherwise I will never finish with him." When the traffic police saw his arrogant and domineering appearance, he knew that this person must not be a good stubborn, and seeing his hand covering his forehead, the blood was constantly oozing from it. It was estimated that he had just participated in a weapon fight. Such a person basically has a criminal record. Most of them are still fugitives, so it is time to catch one. So several traffic policemen winked at each other. One of them took out the chilly water used by the traffic police for law enforcement, and said to Lu Ming, "Now I warn you, put your head in your hands and get out of the car for inspection, otherwise, we will treat you according to law. Take coercive measures." Lu Ming became annoyed, and he blurted out, "I know the captain of your transportation team. He is a good friend of my dad. If you are not convinced, call and ask if he knows the Lu Group. I am the son Lu Ming." The traffic police sneered, "The son of the Lu Group? You two dare to brag? You have to take a van when you go out, so you are ashamed to say that you are the son of the Lu Group? Does the Lu Group not give their son a car? Is he worth 40,000? Lu Ming hates others for doubting his own strength, and hates others for taunting him. Seeing that a few traffic policemen dare to ridicule him, he immediately blurted out, "Grass, a bunch of poor hanging here and pretending to be something? Believe me or not? Call your team leader." The traffic police said coldly, "Okay, insulting law enforcement officers. You are already blatantly resisting the law. Then don't blame us for being rude." After speaking, one immediately took out the chilly water and sprayed it against Lu Ming's face. Lu Ming felt that his eyes were so hot that he was about to soar, and he subconsciously stretched out his hand to rub it. This rubbing didn't matter, the two big bloody characters on his forehead were instantly exposed. "I'm going," one of the traffic police sighed, "look at him, he has a pore hanging on his forehead. What kind of tattoo is this? It's really hardcore. Ha ha ha, no wonder this kid likes to scold others for being poor, because he has these two words on his forehead." When Lu Ming heard this, he hurriedly tried to cover his forehead, but at this moment, his eyes were swollen and painful, and he didn't see a few traffic policemen reaching out. Immediately afterwards, Lu Ming was dragged out of the car and then pressed to the ground. The traffic police immediately put his hands behind his back and handcuffed him with hands on his back. In this way, he would have no way to get to him, let alone cover his forehead with the word poor hanging. Afterwards, the traffic police brought him and the plastic face to the side of the road, told them to squat on the side of the road, and then called the team, asked the team to send someone over to take the guy back to investigate. This is the intersection in the city center with the most traffic. Almost everyone who has been here can see a young man with red eyes squatting on the side of the road. The most frightening thing is not his eyes sprayed with chilly water, but the two huge characters on his forehead, poor hanging. Many people took out their mobile phones to take pictures. Lu Ming was embarrassed and furious, squatting on the spot and trying to turn around, facing passers-by with his BUTT-0CKS. However, the traffic police directly pressed him there and said coldly, "Don't move, don't you like to say these two words? It happens to be an exhibition for the citizens here." Lu Ming wants to die, he had known this a long time ago, why to bother to pretend to the driver of the van? If he had to endure a wave, he would be home now. At this moment, an old BMW car parked on the side of the road, and a young man got out of the car and ran over with some kindness, and asked, "Oh, Mr. Lu, what's the matter with you? Ouch, your forehead. What's going on? Who carved you a poor hanging on there?" Lu Ming, who had been desperately bowing his head, suddenly heard someone calling himself Mr. Lu, and he wanted to die. The last thing he wanted at the moment was to be recognized, but he was recognized by others. At this moment, he wanted to kill someone angrily. He looked up, the speaker was a little familiar, and couldn't help but ask, "Who are you?" The person hurriedly explained, "I am Harold. Harold of the Wilson family, we have eaten together before, and the young master of the White family, Gerald, don't you remember us?" Lu Ming gritted his teeth and looked at him. Suddenly a mouthful of bloody sputum was spit on his face, angrily cursed, "Take your mother and make the Wilson family hang up, dare to come here to watch me as a joke, believe it or not, you will die." Harold was also suffocated in his heart. What is this called? He saw Lu Ming being handcuffed by the traffic police to the side of the road, and wanted to come over to say hello and chat. He didn't expect this guy to come up and curse and spit on his face. "This is so disgusting," he angrily said. "Mr. Liu, you are too much. I came over to ask the situation out of concern among friends. How can you do this?" Lu Ming scolded. "You care? Besides, you poor guy is worthy of being my friend? You are a chicken, you, stinky silk, big poor guy, do you want to be close to me? Get out!" Harold was wronged. But he didn't dare to confront Lu Ming. After all, the ability of the Liu family was countless times stronger than that of the Wilson family, who was on the verge of bankruptcy. Offending him would definitely not end well. So, he could only use his sleeves to dry the phlegm on his face, and said angrily, "Mr. Liu, you are so passionate, sorry." After speaking, he quickly turned into the car and drove away. At this time, he felt wronged in his heart. What do you think this is? It's so maddening to pay for life. Here, Lu Ming is not feeling well. He was also sighing. What is this? He wanted to go home low-key, but he didn't expect to have an exhibition at the intersection of the city center. Many people took photos of him with their mobile phones, and some even posted them on Facebook and Instagram. The good guys even gave him a new nickname, Oris Hill No. 1 Poor Hang. Lu Ming's deeds spread throughout Oris Hill all at once. The night at the Champs-Élysées hot spring felt very tormenting for Charlie. Originally, he was going to sleep with his wife Claire directly. As a result, he didn't know if Elsa was deliberate or unintentional. She insisted on pulling Claire to sleep together, and she also called her girlfriend time. Therefore, Charlie could only sleep in another room by himself. The next day, they were going to check out and return to the city after getting up, but the two women were reluctant to partake in the private hot spring here, so they soaked for another morning before they reluctantly checked out with Charlie. However, after the baptism of the hot springs, both of them looked radiant and extremely beautiful. When checking out, Isaac came in person. He chased Charlie and Claire to apologize again and again, and warned all Champs-Élysées employees on the spot that if there were any more cases of treating customers differently and favoring one another, it would not be tolerated. The entire Champs-Élysées staff finally realized the importance of serving customers well. Afterwards, Isaac took the top of Champs-Élysées and politely sent Charlie and the others out of the gate. Isaac had originally planned to send Charlie to the parking lot. Charlie gave him a look and said calmly, "We will go directly to the parking lot to pick up the car and return to the city, so you don't have to face things again." Isaac was also very on the road, knowing that Charlie didn't want to let herself always follow, so he hurriedly said respectfully, "Mr. Wade, go slowly." Out of the gate, Elsa stretched her waist very enchantingly, and said, "It's really comfortable to take a bath in the hot springs. Claire, if you two are fine, how nice it would be to stay here for a few days and then go back." Claire smiled and said, "My company has just opened, and there are so many things. How can I live here for a few days?" After that, Claire asked again, "Don't you have to go to work?" Elsa sticks out her tongue and said, "My job was originally run outside. Moreover, I have never met the chairman of the Emgrand Group since I have been there. He can't control me. I belong to an unsupervised employee. It's okay not to go to work occasionally." Afterwards, Elsa said again, but since you have something, I will send you two back first. When she arrived at the parking lot, Charlie discovered that Orville was standing next to Elsa's car. The place where the car had been scratched yesterday had also been repaired. When Orville saw him coming, he hurriedly greeted him and said respectfully, "Mr. Charlie, are you still having fun?" "Not bad." Charlie looked at the rear of the car a few times, and when he saw that the repaired one was the same as the new one, he said, "You are good." Orville said hurriedly and respectfully, "Mr. Wade, there happens to be an auto repair shop underneath, and workers are asked to come over with tools for the construction. Are you going home? Do you need me to send a few people to escort you back?" Charlie waved his hand quickly and refused, "You go if you are busy, and we can go back by ourselves." "That's okay, if Mr. Charlie has something to do, you can find me at any time." Orville arched his hands, and then left with his men. Seeing this scene, Claire couldn't help but shook his head and said to Charlie, "I don't know what demon these people are, how can I treat you so respectfully?" Charlie smiled and said, "Can't it be my own ability?" Claire gave him a blank look and said, "What's the skill of Feng Shui mystery, right? The more they believe in you now, the more they will find that they have been deceived in the future, the more vicious the revenge will be. You'd better be careful." Charlie smiled and didn't argue. The three got into the car and drove towards the city. On the road, Elsa asked as she drove, "Claire, are you two going home or where?" "Go home." Claire said, "If you go home and take a good rest, you will be resurrected with full blood on Monday." Elsa nodded and said, "Then I will send you two home first, and then back to the hotel." Claire asked in surprise, "Are you still living in hotel?" Elsa gave a hum and said, "Where else can I live without a hotel? I have always lived in Shangri-La." Claire asked, "It's very deserted to live in a hotel alone? Why don't you buy a house in Oris Hill?" Elsa smiled bitterly, "It's more troublesome to buy a house and live by yourself. It's better to live in a hotel. Every day someone cleans up the room. You can directly call whatever you want to eat. The dining staff will bring you to the room. The clothes will be sent to me after drying and ironing." For people like Elsa who have a lot of money in her family, she spends money to save herself time and energy. Claire asked again, "Then what's going on in your family? Has your cousin targeted you lately?" "Nothing." Elsa said, "I filed a complaint with my family before, but they said that there was insufficient evidence and they could not be sure that everything I said was true, but now my cousin seems to have stopped a lot, and dare not do anything to me." With that, she looked at Charlie in the back row through the rear-view mirror in the car, and made a thank you gesture. She knew very well in her heart that it was Charlie who had warned those of the Dong family who wanted to target her, and they had restrained. Therefore, Charlie really didn't know how many times he had saved her. Claire suddenly felt a little distressed for Elsa, a good girlfriend, who came to work in Oris Hill by herself and could only live in a hotel all the time. She also suffered betrayal and hunted down by her family. Thinking of this, she said to Elsa, "Elsa, the White family gave Charlie a villa, which is located at Thompson. When the decoration is completed, I will reserve a room for you. You can move in and live with us." "Really?" Elsa asked very excitedly. Claire smiled and said, "Of course it is true. I am your good girlfriend, can I lie to you? Claire and Elsa, two good girlfriends, soon made a reservation about living together in the Thompson villa. Both women were very happy, but Charlie was a little depressed. Claire is really innocent, she doesn't know Elsa has always thought about your husband. Here she invited her to move to the villa to live with. Silly wife, this is to lead a wolf into the room. However, Charlie couldn't explicitly refuse this kind of thing, and he didn't have a reason to refuse. Therefore, even if he is unsatisfied, he can only hide it in your stomach. Elsa was very happy. Because in this way, she can get along with Charlie day and night. In that case, the possibility of herself and him is much greater. The car drove downstairs to Claire's house. After Charlie and Claire bid farewell to Elsa, they got out of the car and prepared to go upstairs. At this moment, an old master saw the two get out of the car and hurriedly walked over to meet them. Charlie saw that it was Tiankai. When Claire saw Tiankai, she was immediately very excited. He greeted him and said respectfully, "Mr. Shi, why are you here? Last time you saved my father, I haven't had time to thank you." Tiankai hurriedly waved his hand and said, "Mrs. Wade, you don't have to be polite." She did not dare to take credit for what happened last time. "I came here this time because I have something to do with Mr. Charlie." "Then let's go upstairs and talk. There is also a good tea from my father's collection at home. You are here, and he will definitely take it out to entertain you." Claire invited. Tiankai smiled and declined, "Thank you, I just want to say a few words to Mr. Charlie, so I won't bother Madam Wade and your father." Seeing that the two were polite, Charlie didn't end there, so he immediately interjected, "Claire, go up first, let me talk to genius Dr. Tiankai." Claire commanded, "Then you have to entertain the genius doctor." Charlie nodded and agreed. Claire only then went upstairs. Seeing Claire's departure, Tiankai respectfully bowed to Charlie and said, "Mr. Wade, I am looking for you because I want to report something to you." Charlie nodded, "Say it." Tiankai said, "Tomorrow, there will be a traditional medicine expo in Oris Hill. I heard that there is still a 300-year-old purple ginseng to be auctioned. The whole Chinese medical profession is quite a sensation. I think this magic medicine will not be born for a long time. It's rare, you may be able to use it, so I'll ask you, would you like to have a look tomorrow? 300 years old best purple ginseng." Charlie couldn't help thinking for a moment. According to the records in the 9 profound heaven scriptures, purple ginseng is indeed a very rare good thing. The 300-year-old purple ginseng is a rare and precious medicinal material. If you have this medicinal material, you can refine some more powerful pill, such as the rejuvenating pill that can bring the dead back to life. Thinking of this, Charlie nodded and promised, "Okay, then go and take a look." Tiankai hurriedly said, "Then I will arrange the invitation letter and will pick you up tomorrow morning." "Okay, that's it. I will leave now." Tiankai bowed his hands in salute. Bidding farewell, Charlie nodded, then stepped upstairs. Early the next morning, Tiankai came to pick up Charlie and went to the traditional medicine expo. What Charlie didn't expect was that the venue of the expo was also chosen in the Oris Hill Convention and Exhibition Center. The last time Junwei Gao came here, Junwei Gao was still very arrogant in front of him, but at this time, Junwei Gao and his old son Jianjun Gao were all turned into ashes, leaving no trace in the world. The phrase "I don't know where to go, but the peach blossom still smiles in the spring breeze." Stepping into the convention and exhibition center, Charlie saw at a glance that on the wall of the hall, there were still missing persons notices of Junwei Gao and Jianjun Gao. The Gao family had increased the bounty to 30 million, but still did not find the whereabouts of the father and son. However, these efforts are destined to be futile. When Charlie and Tiankai walked in together, Qin Gang took Aoxu and greeted them together. The Qin family is in the business of medicinal materials. This kind of traditional medicine expo, they are also the exhibition and sales parties, so they only prepared here early in the morning. When he saw Charlie, Qin Gang stepped forward with excitement, and said respectfully, "Mr. Wade, you are here." Aoxu on the side seemed to be worried, and her face was a little haggard, he didn't know why. However, seeing Charlie, Aoxu's mood still jumped up, walked to Charlie with a little shame, bowed obediently, smiled lightly, and said softly, "Hello, Mr. Wade." Charlie nodded slightly and observed at Aoxu for a moment, knowing that she was pretending to be something, but the other party did not say, and he was not easy to ask, so he said to her, "Aoxu, your complexion is not very good, please pay attention to your health." As soon as Aoxu heard this, her cheeks were blushing, she didn't expect Charlie to care about her for the first time, and she couldn't help making her feel even more happy, nodding her head again and again. Qin Gang also said respectfully, "Mr. Wade, I wonder if you are here for the 300-year-old purple ginseng." Charlie nodded and asked, "Any specific news?" Qin Gang smiled and said, "This 300-year-old super-quality purple ginseng was acquired by accident by a medicinal company near Chenbai Mountain in the northeast. It is said that the starting price this time is 5 million. The price alone is not high, but 5 million. A purple ginseng is actually quite high. It is estimated that the final bid will be more than 30 million, and the price/performance ratio is not too high." Charlie nodded. A superb purple ginseng is really of little use to ordinary people or doctors of ordinary traditional medicine. Whether it is purple ginseng, Ganoderma, or cordyceps, these precious Chinese medicinal materials are basically not useful if they are eaten directly. They do have the effect of strengthening the body, but they have no ability to cure all diseases. Therefore, if good medicinal materials want to exert their maximum effect, one depends on the combination of prescriptions and the other depends on the ability of refining medicine. The prescription is the most important thing. Use the same 10 medicinal materials to make a prescription. Some can cure diseases, and some can kill people. The fundamental reason lies in the different proportions of the 10 medicinal materials, just the proportions. Differences can lead to such a big gap, and if there are a few different medicines, it is very different. As for the ability to refine medicine, it is based on a good prescription to refine good medicinal materials into good medicine. If the ability is not enough, the medicinal material of 10 points will be refined into 1 point. If the ability is very strong, 1 point of medicinal materials will finally make 10 points. If it is strong in all aspects, a medicinal material with 10 points can even make 100 points. Charlie's ability is the kind of medicinal materials with 10 points, the kind that can make 100 points of medicine. In addition, He has a classic recipe that has been lost for a long time, and he can even produce medicines far exceeding 100 points. Therefore, something like the premium purple ginseng is useful to him, but it really doesn't make much sense to others. But with his own hands, he can refine a better miraculous medicine, much better than the pill given to everyone last time. At this time, Charlie suddenly heard a few familiar voices from behind him. A man said, "Fredman, don't worry. As long as we take the 300-year-old purple ginseng this time, all the medicinal materials we need for our new prescription will be available. By then, your disease will definitely be cured." "It is good." It was Baron Away from the Way family who spoke. "That is the one who was forced to lick the urinal a few days ago." At this time, Fredman, the native of the Wilson family, said, "Oh, I really want to thank Brother Way in advance. When my illness is cured, I will definitely strengthen the cooperative relationship with the Way family. Then, my family and I will give some resources to help the Way family. Our two strong alliances will last forever." Baron Away was also very excited, and said excitedly, "Then I also want to thank Fredman in advance, ha 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 ha." Charlie turned back and saw that it was Baron Away and Fredman who were coming from far and near. Following the two, there was Wendy. At this time, Wendy did not have the embarrassment of licking the urinal that day. She held a Hermes Limited bag in one hand, and held Baron Away's arm in the other. She walked with her eyes higher than the top, completely like a lady. Behind a few people, there was a person who looked somewhat similar to Baron Away followed. Charlie didn't know this guy. This person was the illegitimate child of Baron Away's half-brother, Liang Wei, who was always dismissed in the Wei family. And just as Charlie saw several people also found Charlie. Fredman, Baron Away, and Wendy, these three people all have blood and deep hatred for Charlie, and they hate him to the bone. When they see him at this time, they are all angry and want to tear him alive. And when Baron Away saw him, he was even more angry, as if the urinal smell of disgust came to the extreme. Wendy couldn't help but retching when thinking about it at the beginning. After so many days, her tongue tastes nothing and feels stinky. All this is thanks to Charlie. Seeing Charlie, Fredman, with the strongest background and strength, took the lead to speak. He gritted his teeth and said, "It turns out that it's you, Stinky Silk, let's meet again." Charlie smiled indifferently, and said, "Last time you called me father and grandfather, that was so refreshing, but you changed the name in a blink of an eye? My grandson is too unfilial, right?" Fredman clenched his fists hatefully when he heard him mention it. That incident made him lose face and somehow lost his ability to be a man. It was the greatest shame in his life. But he knew that he couldn't beat Charlie, and he didn't dare to do it. He could only sneer and said, "That is to say that a good man does not suffer from immediate losses, and a big man can bend and stretch. What do you know about this kind of waste? Don't think that you will fight, you are a personal thing. This world it's very dark, so be careful when you walk at night." Charlie sneered and said, "I think you can only bend now, can't stretch, right? Have you recovered your male prowess during this period of time?" Fredman gritted his teeth angrily when he heard Charlie scold him for being able to bend and not stretch. "Don't be arrogant." Fredman gritted his teeth and cursed, "I will regain my power sooner or later. Don't worry, I will not spare you." Tian Kai coldly scolded, "Fredman, I have warned you many times that you must be respectful and polite to Mr. Wade and don't offend. If you target Mr. Wade again, don't blame me for turning my face and denying people." When Fredman saw Tian Kai speaking for Charlie, his brain hurt. His mother has been urging him to repair the relationship with Tian Kai as soon as possible and invite Tian Kai to go to East Cliff to attend her 84th birthday party. However, this Tian Kai is really stubborn. Mixing with Charlie this kind of stinky rag all day long, what exactly is he pictured? However, Fredman did not dare to disobey Tian Kai in public, and could only say angrily, "Uncle, you must keep your eyes open. There are too many scammers these days, and many elderly people are deceived by those ulterior swindlers in society. Some are just to buy you some fakes, and even follow to recognize you as Godfather. Some just take some fake and shoddy things and sell them to the elderly as a panacea. You are a shrewd man, but don't lose it." "Hoof." Baron Away on the side also gave a disdainful smile, and said, "This kind of rubbish liar, in a small place like Oris Hill, can only jump for a few days. When he is in a big place, he must not be scared to death. The place this gang has never seen the world before will be deceived by him." Charlie smiled and said, "Was the toilet in the brilliant clubhouse not big enough last time? Your mouth still smells bad. The toilets in the convention and exhibition center are very powerful. There are only 20 or 30 urinals in the men's toilet." "Cool." Baron Away's expression was extremely ugly, but with 7 points of dread, he said, "You don't think that you have fooled Boyu. You can run wild in Oris Hill." Qin Gang had been standing behind. At this moment, when Baron Away was targeting Charlie, he immediately said with a cold face, "Baron Away, what kind of thing do you dare to say to Mr. Wade? Their Qin family is one of the Wei family's medicinal material suppliers, and they have been in contact before," but he did not expect that Baron Away would be disrespectful to Charlie. Baron Away didn't see him just now. At this time, he glanced at Qin Gang and said with disdain, "Qin Gang, our two families have worked together for more than 10 years. Why are you even speaking for this waste?" Qin Gang snorted and said, "Mr. Wade's ability is not something people like you can know. If you insult Mr. Wade, you insult my Qin family. From now on, our Qin family will cut off all cooperation with your Wei family. All medicinal materials will no longer be supplied to the Wei family." Baron Away's face changed slightly, and they would be in trouble if they lost the Qin family supplier. But you can't lose face when you lose anything, so he gritted his teeth and said coldly, "Without the supplier of your Qin family, our Wei family is still living and moisturized, but your Qin family has broken off cooperation with us. I am afraid that in the future it's not easy, right?" Qin Gang's face remained as usual, and he resolutely said, "The Qin family's medicinal materials are well known throughout the country. Even if you don't cooperate with us, it will not have a big impact on us. It is your Wei family that will suffer. If my Qin family's medicinal materials are gone, I will see your future how to guarantee the quality of medicines." The middle-aged man behind Baron Away said sorry to Qin Gang at this time, "Don't mind Mr. Stephen, my brother was joking just now. Our two companies have been cooperating for so long, so we rashly terminated our cooperation. Neither side is good." Before he finished speaking, Baron Wei turned his head, kicked him, and said coldly, "Liang Wei, when do you speak here? What do I want to do with you? Remember you? Your identity, you are born from a mount, and if you babble with me, you will go back to your Qinbei mountain." Liang Wei was kicked to the ground, covering his stomach with pain, his face flushed. But he didn't dare to speak any more, just stood up quietly, stood behind Baron Wei again, and said nothing. Charlie glanced at Liang Wei more. From his body, Charlie saw a little bit of his previous shadow. Being despised, or even humiliated by others, but he can only choose to forbear, stay invisible, and quietly wait for a chance to rise. At this time, Wendy said to Baron Wei, "My dear, you can't be guilty of being angry with a rubbish. Let's go in." Baron Wei nodded. Charlie, this rubbish, and Liang Wei, were rubbish in his eyes. Even if he suffered a big loss under Charlie's hands, he still didn't think Charlie was a great person. On the contrary, he was still waiting for an opportunity to retaliate against Charlie to relieve his hatred. Charlie didn't bother to argue with this group of people. The reason why he came to the expo was for the 300-year-old purple ginseng. As for Fredman and Baron Wei, if they dare to continue to pretend to be forceful, then they have the opportunity to slowly clean up them. Seeing Fredman, Baron Wei, and others are gone, Tian Kai shook his head and sighed, "This Fredman is really self-inflicted and cannot live." Qin Gang said, "Mr. Wade, Mr. Shi, let's go in too, don't let these villains affect our mood." Charlie said with a smile, "Of course I don't care about a group of clowns." They walked into the center of the exhibition hall. There are already exhibition counters for various traditional medicine materials, and each of them displays many kinds of medicinal materials. Qin Gang first invited Charlie to inspect his booth. The Qin family deserves to be a medicinal material dealer with a history of over 100 years. They have more than a dozen showcases, and various rare medicinal materials filled the counter. Qin Gang said to Charlie, "Mr. Wade, if there are medicinal materials you need in it, just say it and I will bring it out to you." Charlie nodded and said, "After I get the 300-year-old purple ginseng, I may make a new medicine. I will tell you what I need then." Qin Gang hurriedly said to Charlie, "Mr. Wade has any request, despite the instructions, Qin Gang will do his best to fulfill it for you." Charlie looked around at the expo, and found no medicinal materials worthy of his attention, which made him somewhat disappointed. It seems that most of the medicinal materials can only be regarded as ordinary goods, and there is nothing special about them. After shopping for a while, it was almost time for the auction, and Charlie went to the auction hall with Qin Gang and Tian Kai. The entire auction hall can accommodate millions of seats and has a large area. In the front of the auction hall, a transparent booth with 4 sides of glass was erected. In the center, it is the 300-year-old purple ginseng plant. After Charlie saw this purple ginseng, he was delighted. He could perceive that this purple ginseng has a strong medicinal power. According to his eyesight, the purple ginseng is said to be 300 years old, but in fact it is almost 400 years old, and the quality is even better than imagined. There are many kinds of ginseng: common ginseng, American ginseng, red ginseng, purple ginseng, and wild ginseng. Among them, purple ginseng is the rarest and the most expensive. And ginseng itself has a lifespan, and most of them cannot live for 100 years. Therefore, it is not to say that a ginseng plant has not been picked, it can become a 100-year-old ginseng or a 100-year-old ginseng. More than 100 years will come to an end. Ginseng that can live more than 200 to 300 years is the best ginseng, and ginseng that can live more than 500 years is almost rare. Some people collect ginseng for a lifetime and have no chance to see it. As for thousands of years of ginseng, it is even more invaluable. It almost only exists in legends, and it is rare to see anyone take it out. Therefore, this 300-year-old purple ginseng is extremely precious. At this time, the auction hall was already overcrowded. Most of the people who came were from all over the country in the world of traditional medicine, allopathic medicine, and medicinal materials. There were also many old Chinese doctors who could be regarded as masters of traditional medicine. Among them, many people are familiar with Tian Kai. After seeing Tian Kai coming in, they came forward to congratulate him. These are to congratulate him on successfully curing high paraplegia and creating a miracle in medical history. But Tian Kai was extremely ashamed. Everyone thinks that he is responsible for the treatment of high-level paraplegia, but only he himself knows that the credit is entirely Charlie's alone. Mr. Charlie Wade likes to keep a low profile, so he let himself take it for him. Many people gathered around Tian Kai and asked Tian Kai how to cure high paraplegia. Tian Kai said, "Actually, treating high paraplegia is not my own skill, but a magical medicine I occasionally got has exerted a huge therapeutic effect." Someone asked, "Old Shi, can you publish the prescription for this magical medicine? If it is published, it will benefit all mankind." "That's right." Someone echoed, saying, "Apply a genius doctor, announce this prescription, you may get the Nobel Prize in Medicine." Tian Kai said embarrassingly, "Let's forget it, it is indeed some inconvenient hidden information." At this time, a young man in a suit and leather shoes came to Tian Kai, bowed slightly, and said in not fluent Chinese, "Hello, Dr. Tian Kai, my name is Ichiro Kobayashi, and I am the vice chairman of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical." Tian Kai nodded and said, "I know that you Wilson Lin Pharmaceutical, I wonder why you are looking for me." Ichiro Kobayashi said seriously, "Mr. Shi, our Kobayashi Pharmaceutical is the strongest pharmaceutical company in Asia. There are many popular classic drugs that are developed and produced by our company. With such a strong strength to support, we have the ability to carry forward your prescription for high-level paraplegia and sell it to more than 200 countries around the world. Therefore, I sincerely hope that you can sell this prescription to us." When Tian Kai heard the other party's words, he couldn't help but frowned and said, "I remember, many of your medicines were not developed by yourself, and those medicines are all our campo. The so-called Hanfang is actually an ancient prescription of traditional medicine. Japan and South Korea were deeply influenced by Chinese culture in ancient times. Naturally, their medicine was also taught from this land's traditional medicine. Now the pharmaceutical companies in these two countries are all engaged in campo medicines, which, to put it bluntly, is plagiarizing things from the Chinese ancestors. Because ancient Chinese prescriptions are recorded in some pharmacopoeias and there is no clear patent copyright protection, these Japanese and Korean pharmaceutical companies have plagiarized various prescriptions from the traditional Chinese pharmacopoeia, and then produced a variety of medicines and sold them all over the world. It would be fine if they made it clear that these medicines originated from ancient Chinese prescriptions, but they just want to publicize that the prescriptions were developed by themselves. There are even more shameless people who will describe the traditional medicine as a medicine handed down by the ancestors of their own country, making consumers all over the world think that these medicines are really the historical heritage of Japan and South Korea. This kind of blatant plagiarism has long made Tiankai and a lot of traditional medicine practitioners' indignation. At this time, Ichiro Kobayashi said with an arrogant expression, "Mr. Shi, I want to correct your mistake. All of our medicines at Kobayashi Pharmaceuticals, none of them use Kampo, all of which are based on the essence of our Japanese traditional medicine." Hearing Kobayashi Ichiro's open denial, Tiankai said coldly, "I remember that you have 3 medicines that are marketed globally, namely, a stomach powder, a clear throat powder, and an eczema lotion. The 3 medicines have one prescription. It comes from Jones Zongjing's treatise on febrile diseases and miscellaneous diseases in the Eastern Han Dynasty of China, a Yellow Emperor's internal classic from the Western Han Dynasty, and one from the Compendium of Materia Medica. Am I right?" Ichiro Kobayashi's expression was a bit ugly, but he insisted on denying it. "Isn't Mr. Shi joking? These ancient Chinese pharmacopoeias 1 or 2,000 years ago are basically rubbish without any clinical application and no scientific basis. How can a big company use the backward pharmacopoeia 1 or 2,000 years ago? What a joke!" Hearing that Ichiro Kobayashi publicly insulted the essence of traditional medicine left by his ancestors, other traditional medicine experts in the room scolded him. Tiankai also said with a righteous look, "It happens that I have been idle for these 2 days. After the expo, I will personally write 3 papers, detailing the prescriptions, ins and outs of your 3 medicines, and detailed records in our ancient pharmacopoeia. I sort out all of them, and after the publication, see how you still quibble." Kobayashi Ichiro's face suddenly turned black. He is the vice chairman of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical. This company was founded by his father. He naturally knew the details. The reason why Kobayashi Pharmaceutical has grown to today's scale is entirely based on the prescriptions recorded in the ancient Chinese pharmacopoeia. The Japanese themselves are good at making packaging, so they took ancient Chinese prescriptions and packaged them to a certain extent, and publicized that they had spent a lot of money to research new results. With good curative effects, they immediately opened the market. However, Kobayashi Pharmaceutical was unwilling to admit that their drug formula had plagiarized the ancient Chinese pharmacopoeia. For this reason, Tiankai has been very dissatisfied but has never found a chance to protest. Unexpectedly, he saw Kobayashi Ichiro here today, so he naturally wanted to seek justice for traditional medicine. Ichiro Kobayashi did not expect Tiankai to accurately state the origin of the prescriptions of his 3 medicines. For fear that Tiankai would actually publish a paper, he hurriedly said, "Tiankai, thesis, or something, is it unnecessary? I just thought. Find you to cooperate with new medicine. If you agree, we will cooperate. If you do not agree, we will not cooperate. Why hurt harmony?" Tiankai said seriously, "Since you deny that you have plagiarized Han Fang, then I have nothing to do with you, goodbye." After speaking, Tiankai said again, "By the way, I will definitely write the thesis." Ichiro Kobayashi gritted his teeth and looked at Tiankai. After a while, he still held back his anger, nodded and said, "Well, since the genius Dr. Tiankai is unwilling to cooperate, then I won't force it." Then, he asked, "I don't need the prescription. Can you sell me a medicine? I'm willing to pay 50 million. My father suffered a car accident the year before and was lying in bed with paraplegia at a high position. I really hope to cure him." The price of 50 million frightened Tiankai. Tiankai glanced at Charlie. After all, this was Charlie's magic medicine. If he was willing to sell one piece to Kobayashi Ichiro for 50 million, then he would be a match for Mr. Wade. However, Charlie waved his hand quietly at him. He doesn't care about 50 million, let alone sell the medicine to someone who plagiarizes traditional medicine for 50 million. Seeing Charlie wave his hand, Tiankai immediately said to Kobayashi Ichiro, "Sorry, Mr. Kobayashi, the medicine has been used up, there will be no more." Ichiro Kobayashi gritted his teeth, nodded gloomily, and said, "Okay, genius doctors, I know, I don't want to force everyone to have aspirations, we will have a period later." After that, turn around and left. Charlie said to Tiankai at this time, "This Japanese seems a bit insidious. If he thinks you really have a prescription for high paraplegia, then you must be more careful. After all, once this magical medicine is produced, can earn huge wealth in the world." There was a movie before, called I Am Not a God of Medicine. It was about a Chinese leukemia patient. Because he couldn't afford the extremely expensive medicines in the West, he could only go to India to buy imitations. Through this movie, you can see how black-hearted a large pharmaceutical group is to make money. When a drug is developed, a patient needs to spend at least 20,000 to 30,000 a month to afford it. Isn't this a deadly rhythm? Kobayashi Pharmaceutical also wanted to get a few special drugs that could be sold at a high price, so they set their sights on Tiankai. Ichiro Kobayashi felt that if he could treat high paraplegia, it would be equivalent to having a powerful tool for collecting money. A person with high paraplegia cannot get out of bed, walk, or even urinate and defecate voluntarily. This feeling that life is better than death will cause them and their families to be tortured. If a billionaire has high paraplegia, he will receive 50 million for medicine, and he will take it out willingly. If a billionaire like Bill Gates had high paraplegia, he would give him 50 billion for a medicine. As for the poor paraplegics, he doesn't bother to care about their life and death. What does it have to do with him? Want to buy medicine cheaply? Impossible. However, Ichiro Kobayashi did not expect that Tiankai would refuse so simply, which made him feel a little angry. However, he didn't care, because he had already inquired about before, Tiankai should have the kind of magic medicine to cure high paraplegia. "I just need to find a way to get the magic medicine, and then bring it back to Japan. Let the company's pharmacists study the ingredients in the magic medicine, and it should be imitated soon." Tiankai also knew what Kobayashi Ichiro was thinking. In the face of such a huge benefit, this guy would never give up so easily, and would definitely look for other ways. So he said to Charlie, "Mr. Wade, please rest assured, I will be cautious." Charlie said earnestly, "It's useless to be cautious. You have to understand the truth that everyone is innocent and guilty." Tiankai hurriedly asked, "Mr. Wade, what should I do then?" The medicine you gave me later is also carried on my body. If they were snatched away, then, Charlie smiled slightly and said, I will temporarily refine a few pills for you later. You carry them with you. If someone snatches them, give him the pills. In Charlie's memory, that kind of pill is actually a kind of poison. The patient will get a great recovery in a short time after taking it, but it is only fake. Immediately after that, he would exhaust the last energy of his whole body and die suddenly. This Kobayashi Ichiro's father doesn't know if he is really paraplegic, but he can set up a set for him. If he really plots against this magical medicine, then he will be out of luck. Refining such pills is not difficult. Just some of the more common medicinal materials. Before the auction started, immediately before the auction of the ultimate purple ginseng, Charlie found Qin Gang and gave him a dozen medicinal materials. Qin Gang immediately went to help him gather the materials. Later, Charlie went to the lounge rented by Qin Gang and refined 4 such pills alone. Since traditional medicines are all ingredients of Chinese herbal medicines, once they are boiled out, no matter what the prescription is for or how different they are, the soup after boiled out is dark brown. The same goes for pills. This time, the color of this pill was almost the same as the previous magic drug, and Charlie deliberately made the size the same as the previous magic drug, and there was no difference at all. Later, he came to the auction venue, and while everyone was not paying attention, he gave Tiankai the 4 pills, and then took back half of the magical medicine from Tiankai and took him to keep it. After doing all this, the auction just entered the stage of bidding for the best purple ginseng. Soon, the host stepped onto the stage and said, "Next, we are going to start bidding for our last finale medicinal material, the 300-year-old purple ginseng. Before we start the bidding, the famous genius Dr. Tiankai Shi will come to personally appraise for us this superb purple ginseng." Before Tiankai came, he promised the organizer that he would appraise this superb purple ginseng on the spot, so he walked to the center and took the superb purple ginseng from the hands of the hostess. After careful identification, he opened his mouth and said, "Everyone, in Shi's humble opinion, the actual lifespan of this superb purple ginseng should be around 350 years or even higher. It can be said to be the best among the best, please rest assured." Everyone present exclaimed. They thought it was 300 years old, but they didn't expect it to be more than 350 years old. This is really amazing. Charlie couldn't help but look at Tiankai with admiration. He didn't expect that he could also see the actual age of this top-quality purple ginseng, and it seemed that he had a strong Chinese medical knowledge. At this time, the host smiled and said, "Mr. Shi studied ancient and modern times and is a well-known Oris Hill sage. A few days ago, he cured a patient with high paraplegia and created a medical miracle. I think everyone has heard about it, so with Tiankai's appraisal opinion, everyone can rest 10,000 hearts on this superb purple ginseng." When Tiankai returned to his seat, vicissitudes of voice suddenly came to the mind behind him. "Old Master Shi, high paraplegia is a terminal illness that cannot be cured by Chinese or Western medicine. How did you cure it? Why do I not believe that you can really cure it? Tell me, did the blind cat meet the dead mouse?" Tiankai looked at the place where the sound was made. After he could see who it was, he smiled and said, "Bruce, you are not waiting for the Chinese medical clinic. What are you doing here?" Traditional medicine lord. When they heard this name, the people around couldn't help being shocked. This traditional medicine lord is called a contemporary imperial doctor. He is the representative of the highest level of traditional medicine in China. Bruce laughed at this moment, and said, "I just came to see if you have the ability. The spread is too mysterious, I don't believe it." Tian Kai smiled slightly and said, "It's really just rumored, you don't really need to believe it." Bruce was stunned, did not expect Tian Kai to be so humble. He thought he would be more real, but he would deny it directly, which made him suddenly wonder what to say. At this time, the host opened his mouth and said, "Next, we will start bidding for this 300-year-old purple ginseng. Its starting price is 5 million, and the price increase should not be less than 1 million. Now everyone can show up." The host smiled sweetly, and after speaking, he stood aside. As soon as she finished speaking, she heard Baron Away in the back row directly shouting, 10 million. Everyone was speechless. This 300-year-old top-quality purple ginseng had doubled the price in the first bid. Baron Away knew that if the premium purple ginseng was bid all the way, it would probably cost 20 to 30 million, so he simply doubled it and frightened others, so that he might even steal a chicken. 11 million. A middle-aged man in the court also raised a placard and shouted. Baron Away glanced at the man with disdain, then raised his placard again, 15 million. 16 million. Someone spoke again. 25 million. Baron Away held up his card. He is helping Fredman participate in the auction this time, and the bid will also be borne by Fredman, so he doesn't feel distressed at all. The price of 25 million made many people have the idea of giving up. Although the best purple ginseng is good, the effect of one plant is limited. 25 million is already at a very high price. However, at this moment, someone at the scene suddenly shouted, "I'll pay 30 million." Everyone hurriedly looked around, only to find that the bidder turned out to be Charlie sitting next to Tian Kai. Baron Away and Fredman did not expect that Charlie would rob them at this time, so the two exchanged glances. Fredman directly took the sign in Baron Away's hand, raised it and said, 40 million. Fredman knows very well that Charlie is very difficult to deal with. Once he consumes him, the price will not be known. Moreover, this guy couldn't buy it at first glance. He must know that he needed this superb purple ginseng to regain his glory, so he deliberately made trouble with himself and wanted to raise the price to disgust him. Therefore, he planned to call for 40 million in one step, so that Charlie would not dare to follow. However, Charlie raised his placard again at this time and said lightly, 50 million. In his pocket, there was a check for 100 million from Warnia last time. Last time he gave this check to his mother-in-law Elaine by mistake, and it almost caused a catastrophe. He was very upset with the check. He was thinking about finding an opportunity to spend it, so he has done it today. Get ready, use this 100 million check to bid for this superb purple ginseng. Anyway, besides this 100 million check, there is money in the card. In his eyes, this check is just a piece of waste paper that he doesn't know how to deal with. It finally came in handy today. Hearing Charlie's call for 50 million, Fredman died of anger. He gritted his teeth and said to Baron Away, "This horrible waste, deliberately wants to go against me. 50 million, it's weird he can get it. Baron Away also nodded and cursed, this kid is really bad shit soup. This super quality purple ginseng is actually about 20 million, and 50 million to buy it is really a waste. It can be said to be a fool. Fredman gritted his teeth and said, I'll call him around to see, I can't wait for this problem with my body. After speaking, he held up the sign and shouted in a cold voice, I will pay 60 million. Did he think Charlie still dare to call 60 million? Unexpectedly, Charlie directly raised his placard, I will give out 80 million. Fredman suddenly exploded and stood up and asked loudly, what do you mean by that? What is he? It's 80 million, can you afford that much money? Charlie said with a smile, my dear grandson, don't worry, Grandpa can afford it. Many people at the scene knew that Fredman had knelt down before calling Charlie's father and Charlie's grandfather, so when they heard this, they suddenly laughed. Fredman couldn't hold on to his face, gritted his teeth, and said, okay. You have a seed. I will give out 90 million. Baron Away pulled his sleeves beside him and said, Fredman, 90 million is too expensive. This thing is not worth so much. Don't be impulsive and fall for him. 90 million to buy a ginseng? Except for thousands of years of super premium products, no ginseng is worth so much money. Although Fredman is rich, he is not a lavish person. Sleeping Wendy only spent 15 million and asked him to spend 90 million to buy ginseng, which is really a bit superior. However, what he was thinking at this time was that he had to heal himself. After so many days, he hasn't felt there, it's almost like nothing. If this continues, he will lose hope in life. So, he made up his mind in his heart and gave out 90 million, no more. At this moment, Charlie faintly held up the sign and said, I will give 100 million. Fredman immediately shivered with anger, and cursed, what do you want to do with this rubbish? It is probably a good thing that disturbs me. Charlie smiled faintly and said, I have taken a fancy to this purple ginseng. Of course, I have to bid for it. What's the matter? What if you, Chairman Wilson, can't be snatched from you? Fredman cursed, do you think I don't know your details? You are just a live-in son-in-law. You don't have 100 million in the entire Wilson family. How can you get so much money? Come. After that, Fredman turned his head to look at the host, and said, I suggest you drive this guy out, this guy is cheating. He can't have that much money at all. Tian Kai frowned and said, all the expenses of Mr. Charlie today can be counted under my name. Qin Gang also said quickly, my Qin family's funds are also available for use by Mr. Wade at will. When the two of them said these words, the scene was shocked. What is Charlie's background? Tian Kai, the genius doctor and Qin family patriarch Qin Gang, are willing to pay for him. This is 100 million. At this time, Charlie smiled faintly, and said, it's just 100 million, I can still afford it. That's right, I have 100 million in my pocket. It's been a half a month, and it's almost annoying. I'm dead, just take this opportunity to spend it. Fredman said contemptuously, what are you bragging about? Do you treat everyone as a 3-year-old kid? And you have 100 million in your pocket, do you know how much a billion is? A billion in cash weighs more than a ton. Can you put it in your pocket? Charlie curled his lips and said with a smile, "You really are a stinky silk that has never seen the world." With that said, Charlie took out the 100 million check that Warnya gave him from his pocket. The check had been crumpled in his pocket for many days, and it looked like a pile of waste paper. Charlie raised the check and said to the host, "Beauty, let your financial staff come over and check it." Fredman sneered and said, "Stupid, just take a wad of waste paper and say it is 100 million? Then I will use several 100 million to wipe one butt." Charlie ignored him, holding the check indifferently. At this moment, the host brought the financial staff, and Charlie handed over the check. The other party checked it for a while and immediately said, "This check has a face value of 100 million, which is true." After speaking, everyone present suddenly exploded. A 100 million check, just as waste paper in his pocket? What should he do if he loses it? What if it accidentally slips out of pocket while squatting in the toilet? Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.